My name is Laura. I'm a nurse. After another busy day at work, I head home as usual. I got home a little late today. I'm home. Welcome back. When I returned home, I was greeted by my daughter Meg. It must be very lonely for a third grader to wait at home alone every day. Whenever I see Meg, I always feel sorry for her. But still, I suppose I get envied by other nurses as I work at the town's hospital that doesn't have any night shifts. Where's your dad today? He hasn't come home yet. I wonder when he'll be back. I feel like I haven't seen Dad for a long time. Oh, I see. My husband, Stan, is basically a workaholic and rarely comes home. I don't even remember him spending any time with us, like eating together, or even doing the house chores. Well, no, actually, to be precise, he does spend time with the family, other than Meg and I. On his days off, he'd go to his mom's house to pull weeds in the garden for her, clean the house, and have dinner with her. Stan never showed up at Meg's soccer practices or spelling bee contests to support her, even though he was devoted to his parents. And because of this, my husband and I don't get along very well at all. I'm sorry, honey. I'm so sorry for making you feel lonely all the time. I'm fine. You come home every day, Mom, so that's enough. Oh, Meg. I hugged Meg tightly. If we were a normal family, we'd spend our time with each other and we would have been a happy family. No matter how many times I apologized to her, I know that it'll never be enough. How and why did things turn out this way? Then one day, Stan came back home at a normal time, which was very rare. But both Meg and I's love and affection for Stan had decreased, and we didn't talk much. While we all ate dinner in silence, Stan suddenly spoke up. Hey, why don't we go to Hawaii for the upcoming holidays? What? I couldn't believe my ears for a moment. Stan had invited all of us to go on a trip. What in the world was going on? We haven't been able to properly travel as a family in the past few years, right? I thought it would be a great opportunity to celebrate my mother's 60th birthday too. And I thought it might be a good idea once in a while. He puts my mother-in-law first again. I was fed up. But once Hawaii came up, Meg says this. We can go to Hawaii? I want to go. I really want to go. Meg was very excited and happy. Well, for her, it's her first time going to Hawaii, so it's only natural to react this way. But I don't know if I could enjoy a family trip after all these years. Plus, it was with Kate, my mother-in-law. If it was to celebrate Kate's 60th birthday, I wished Stan would have told me years ago about it. But if my daughter wanted to go, then I thought it was not right for me to refuse. Alright, I guess so. It's been a while since we've all been together as a family, so why don't we go? And I nodded my head. On the day of the trip, Stan and I had to work, so we decided to all meet at the airport. On the day, my work was busy and it was beyond my expectations, and I was running very late. After work, I rushed to the airport with Meg. After taking the bus, we finally arrived at the airport. But an unexpected incident happened. They're not here. Both Stan and Kate was nowhere to be seen. I searched around the airport, but I couldn't find them anywhere. Ugh, where did they go? No one called me on my phone, so I tried calling both Stan and Kate. The number you have dialed is either not powered on right now or has no signal. I kept on hearing this message. Being desperate, I asked the airport staff at the airline's reception desk. Then, I was asked, "Are you Miss Laura Martin?" by one of the ground staff. Pardon? Yes. I wondered how the staff knew my name, but then they handed me a piece of paper. I was asked to give this to you. A paper? I was stunned to see what was written on the paper. I couldn't wait any longer. It'll just be the two of us going on this trip. Bye, Stan. If you can't be on time, then we won't take you. Why don't you just camp out somewhere around here? Bye, Kate. What is this? Mom, what's wrong? As I was shaking with anger, Meg called out to me anxiously. Oh, no, it's nothing. It looks like your dad and Grandma went ahead. I'm sorry. So we can't go to Hawaii? Yes, we can. We can go after them and get on another flight. I tried to answer cheerfully, but to be honest, we don't have enough money for another flight. What am I going to do? While I was thinking of what to do, an old man walking in front of me suddenly collapsed. I didn't know what was happening, but my body moved on its own, perhaps because I have been a nurse for many years. Are you okay? I checked his breathing, but it had stopped. Oh my God! I quickly turned the old man's body and secured his airway. When I looked into his mouth, I found something was stuck inside. It most likely is a part of his vomit. This is what's preventing him from breathing. Please, someone, call an ambulance! I shouted and immediately began treatment. Once the ambulance came quickly, the old man was taken to the emergency room where he regained consciousness. Was it you? The one who saved me? Well, yes. I only did a simple procedure, though. That's not true. Thank you so much. I thought I was completely dead. He had recovered enough to be able to have a conversation. There seemed to be no heart or organ problems to begin with. You saved my life. Please let me thank you. I'm James. Oh no, there's no need for that. I just did what everyone would do. By the way, were you traveling somewhere? Oh, yes. I was supposed to go to Hawaii with my daughter, but we couldn't catch the flight. Oh no, that's terrible. It's my fault. I quickly gestured my hand to deny it. Oh no. We were already running late and I couldn't make it in time because of my work anyways, so you didn't do anything wrong. I was just thinking that we should go home, I said as I sighed and laughed. But James just looks at me and says this. That's a shame. Your daughter must have been looking forward to it. Why don't you just buy another ticket? Well, I'm a little ashamed to say this, but we don't have enough money right now. When I said this with a sad look on my face, James gave a small nod. Okay then, as my way of thanking you, I'll buy you both the tickets, and the problem will be solved, right? Oh, huh? No, I'm sorry about this. It's completely okay. Hey, you! James called out to a female staff who was just walking by. Then he started calling somewhere with a cell phone he borrowed. Oh, can I talk to you for a minute? James talked to someone for a few minutes and hung up. Oh, we're really okay, so don't worry about it. If I don't get to thank you in some way, then I won't be able to die peacefully. At that moment, the paper fell out of my pocket. We were lucky enough to get on the airplane, all thanks to James. To my surprise, he bought us expensive business class tickets. Thanks to his kindness, Meg and I could enjoy the flight very comfortably. And finally, we arrived in Hawaii safely. But there was just one problem. Which hotel would Stan and Kate stay at? I wished I had asked them beforehand about it. Hello, are you Laura and Meg? A man called out to us. Yes, that's right, but nice to meet you. When I was being suspicious as to how he knew my name and my daughter's name, he handed me his business card. On it was the name of a well-known logistics company that even I knew. I have heard about you from the chairman of our company. Thank you very much for that. What? The elderly man you helped at the airport is the chairman of our company. Oh, really? I was so surprised at what he had said. I had no idea that James, who we encountered at the airport, was a chairman of a major company. We will now take you both back to your hotel on the chairman's order. Please enjoy your trip to Hawaii. And then he led us to a black limousine. I had never been on such a car before in my life. Wow, it's amazing! Meg says that, and she is totally excited to ride in a luxurious limousine for the first time. I checked many times to make sure my shoes were clean before I got on. The view of Hawaii from the windows were beautiful. It felt like an everlasting summer. At one point, I thought we wouldn't be able to make it, but I'm so glad we were able to come in the end. Meg was stuck to the window and stared out. Then we arrived at a huge hotel. You could tell it was luxurious by the way it looked. But as we arrived, I realized something important. Oh no, I didn't book a room, I mumbled quietly. Oh, please don't worry. We have already reserved a room on the top floor. Hearing what I had mumbled, the man tells me this. But I don't have enough money for this. You don't have to pay anything. We have already paid the bill. Oh, really? I wonder how far James had instructed the man to take care of us. This VIP treatment left me very confused as I wasn't used to this. After entering the hotel, I was again amazed by the room. It was probably a suite room. The room was too spacious for just 2 people. The view of the ocean and the beautiful sunset was breathtaking from the huge windows of the room. It was truly a spectacular view. And we had a dedicated hotel staff member who would serve us if we wanted anything. The food was also gorgeous. I can't even explain it very well as it was too luxurious. They grilled the most expensive steak right in front of us. The food was better than anything I have ever tasted, and I was just always impressed. When Meg and I were strolling around the lobby after dinner, we heard some arguing voices coming from the corner. Are they? A man and a woman were arguing with the hotel staff. Yes, it was my husband and my mother-in-law. Hey, what are you both doing here? When I called out to them, they looked at Meg and I. What? Why are you both here? What do you mean? We just came here as planned. You've done such a horrible thing to us, even though you're the one who suggested we go. Well, that's... Stan looked at Kate as if he wanted to say something. Oh, it was your fault for being late, right? I feel bad about that, but you didn't have to say that we should just camp out. Kate didn't look like she was doing anything wrong, or she's sorry for doing such a horrible thing. I just couldn't forgive them. By the way, why are you guys arguing with the hotel staff? I asked Stan. When I tried to check in, he told me to leave. I don't understand. Stan looked very angry as he said this. Is something wrong? I asked the hotel staff. Then the hotel staff began to explain. I heard that these people left our very important and beloved customers behind, and that's unforgivable. I was ordered not to let them stay here at our hotel. Oh, now I get it. James had a great influence on this hotel. The chairman of the big company indeed is a scary guy, and you never want to be on his bad side. What the hell does he mean? Oh, it's a long story. But what he means is that he can't forgive you both for leaving Meg and I behind. When I said this, Stan and Kate looked very confused. How the hell does someone from this hotel know about that? Well, I understand Stan's point and why he'd ask that. But knowing the details, I'm not surprised at all. In fact, I even think it's what Stan and Kate deserves. Do you know this person? I took out a business card. It belonged to the man who guided me from the airport in Hawaii. This is a business card from a major client of ours. My husband turned pale as he took the card with his trembling hands. Kate's face also froze and turned pale. You don't mean to tell me that you know the chairman of this company, do you? Of course I know who he is. He suddenly collapsed at the airport, so I saved him. So he booked us a flight to Hawaii and even reserved the hotel room for us. What? Kate fell down and began to tremble. What's the matter, Mom? He is in the same gym club as me, and I see him every once in a while, but everyone worships him. What kind of coincidence is this? I also agreed to Stan about this. With that kind of coincidence, I thought that the world is really small. I had no idea that my mother-in-law knew the chairman. But before I heard this from Kate, I already found out about the fact from the chairman himself. When I received the new ticket at the airport, James was the one who noticed a piece of paper that fell out of my pocket. Oh? He picked it up and saw what was written on the paper. He looked at me with surprise. Laura, what in the world is this? Oh, that. Well, how should I say this? We were left behind by my mother-in-law and husband. Yes. How horrible! And how unforgivable. But this name, I've seen it somewhere. Is your mother-in-law's last name Martin? Yes, her name must be Kate Martin. What? You know my mother-in-law? Of course I do. She's also a member of the gym club that I belong to. She doesn't seem like the type of person who would do something like that, but... And this is how it happened. I looked at the two of them with a grin as I thought back on it. It's tough, isn't it? Since you said that you two are going on a trip together, I guess we'll just be on our own then. I'm going to enjoy the trip with Meg. Kate, why don't you just camp out somewhere around here? Enjoy the Hawaiian night without any roof on top. Oh, hey, wait! That's terrible! You are the rudest person ever! Stan and Kate kept on screaming while I turned my back on them. They're just so ridiculous. They were the ones who threw those words at me first, but when I was the one who got back at them with their words, they'd call me terrible and rude. I burst out laughing. Let's go, I urged Meg. Yeah! And Meg took my hand in hers. The exchange between the hotel staff and the two were still going on behind me. Anyways, get out of here. We don't have rooms for you both in this hotel. The hotel staff wouldn't budge. Ugh! Finally, both Stan and Kate left the hotel. So, we enjoyed our trip to Hawaii on our own. Since Meg's love for Stan was almost gone, there was no need to care about him at all. I never expected to be given such a wonderful trip as a gift in return for helping an old man. We actually wanted to thank him from the bottom of our hearts. The trip was over and we returned home safely. It was a really amazing, refreshing trip. Meg seemed to be very satisfied with the trip as well. Now whatever happened to Stan and Kate, who were kicked out of that hotel? It seems that the real disaster for them came after they left the hotel. After returning from Hawaii, Stan arrived home tired and worn out. It seems that the chairman's instruction had been spread throughout all the hotels in Hawaii. They really had to camp out in the wild. Whatever that was written on the paper came right at them. And other difficulties awaited Stan and Kate. Stan was suddenly summoned by his boss at his workplace and was told that the contract with James's company was about to be cancelled. And Kate was treated coldly by the other gym club members, and she left the club. She was practically expelled from the club. Her only hobby was keeping in shape, but this incident must have frightened her so much that she gave up working out and being in shape anymore, and now spends most of her time watching TV. Stan and I decided that it would be difficult to continue our marriage, and we officially divorced. And of course, the custody for Meg belongs to me. I didn't receive any alimony or child support. My earnings were not much different from Stan's income, and I had no problem supporting Meg. I will never see my mother-in-law again. Still, this incident was really strange now that I think about it. By accidentally being late at the airport, I ended up helping the chairman of a large company whom Kate knew about, and thanks to him, I was able to enjoy one of the best trips to Hawaii. In this way, it's more natural to think that I was guided by some fate. Nothing in my relationship with Stan worked out, except for Meg. Maybe there were some miscommunication because of our different schedules at work. But I think this would have been the result, even if I had continued being the housewife, as Stan would prioritize Kate first instead of us. I have no more regrets. I have the most adorable and precious daughter in the world. I don't need anyone else. My name is Rachel. I have been married to my college sweetheart, Mark, for 3 years now. Mark is a carefree, easygoing, and a huge eater who has made it to the finals of one of the TV shows, the Food Challenge Championship. Weighing about 330 pounds, his stomach is beyond the realm of human beings, and he has devoured 100 plates of fried chickens and 30 slices of XXL-sized pizzas. He also drinks 10 2-liter bottles of Coca-Cola to refresh his palate and still looks like it's not enough for him. Since he had an enormous appetite, life with Mark was always a struggle. He says he eats very light meals at home, but even so, out of his monthly salary of $2,000, $1,800 are all spent on food. The Engel's coefficient, which indicates the ratio of food expenses to total expenses, averages just under 30%, but our figures were over 90%. Since we own our home, we don't have to pay housing costs, but we are behind in paying fixed expenses such as utilities and phone bills, and have often had our electricity and water stopped since we couldn't pay for that either on time. Mark's family has been providing financial support to help us make ends meet. Mark's family only consists of him and his mother. After our marriage, my mother-in-law, Linda, has been living alone in an apartment. She is also known as one of the big eaters in the neighborhood. No matter how much she eats, she somehow manages to stay thin, and even Mark admits that she eats a lot. She's obsessed with food and devours everything that is put in front of her. She is literally a machine that just eats. Mark would laugh while describing about her. Sometimes, Linda would invite us to visit her apartment. But when it comes to eating together or anything related to food, she would begin to bully me. Welcome. Thank you for coming all the way here. Here, please sit. When Linda invited Mark and I into her place, she first makes us sit in chairs. From where she stands, she looks down at me with a smile, but there's always a cold look in her gaze. It's as if she's trying to bully and beat down the hateful woman who took away her son whom she had carefully raised. Oh, I'm sorry, Rachel. I went to buy a cake for the two of you since you said that both of you were coming to visit me, but the shop only had 20 pieces. 10 pieces were each placed on 2 huge plates, one in front of Mark and the other in front of Linda. One small empty white plate was in front of me. I think there's something in the pantry by the storage, so you're free to eat anything from there. Linda says so, but the pantry by the storage is a little far away from her place, and there's no way I can tell which shelf to look at. I can only give a fake smile to her and tell her that it's unnecessary. This always happened whenever we visited Linda, and all the main dishes like the barbecue meals and desserts were all served by Linda to Mark and her, but I was left with only one empty white plate. I don't mind if they do that with a side dish, but I'm fed up with being harassed like this every time. Hey, Mark, I only have this plate and I've got no food on it. I decided to consult Mark about it, but Mark wouldn't even look at me and seemed to care. This cake is from that cake shop over there, right? It's so good. He munched onto the cakes and says, Mom said they didn't sell it, so I guess it can't be helped, right? Well, no, I mean, every time I'm here, all I do is get this white empty plate. I had no choice but to clam up. Mom, you really know my taste buds. It's so delicious. I married him because I liked how carefree he was, but he really has no consideration for his own wife. I grew more and more disgusted, day by day, with the insensitivity of Mark, who never questioned Linda about how she bullied me. One day, we were invited to eat dinner with Linda. I ordered pizza, so come and eat it. We also have fried chicken, so let's have a small party. Mark was so thrilled when Linda called for a feast party. I love pizza so much. How can something very junky be so good? As I filled the container with the salad I prepared as a side dish, I thought to myself that I'm sure I'll end up eating just this salad anyway. Compared to Mark, who looks very happy, I let out a huge sigh. When we arrived at Linda's place, she started her custom, to bully me. It took 5 delivery people to bring in the 60 extra large pizzas into her place. The same number of fried chickens were also prepared. I wonder if this would be enough, Linda asks. Yes, well, if we have about 20 more plates of hamburgers, then it would be perfect. Mark asks for an additional order. What an appetite. I was just too stunned. What kind of big eaters were they? I muttered in my mind. I'm sorry, I really love my son so much that I want him to eat everything he wants to eat. Once all the food came, Linda finally came over and spoke to me. But that salad you brought, it can't possibly be enough. And even the vegetables aren't enough. It's only just lettuce, cucumbers, and tomatoes. She began to bully me with my salad. Supposedly, Linda's sister and her husband would also come to visit over later on. Their appetite is said to be average, but Mark was the one who says they're average, so you can probably guess how big their appetite was compared to normal people. I had to put all the pizzas nicely onto the plates, serve the fried chickens onto the plates, and other things like serving other side dishes on different plates. While I was doing all the preparations that Linda forced me to do, Mark and Linda were just watching the TV and laughing hysterically. When everything was ready, I called them over. Whoa, pizza! Fried chicken! What an amazing feast we'll have! Mark was tapping his flabby tummy and doing a little dance. My mother-in-law on the other side of the table was saying, "What is with all this food being served like this? You really haven't learned our family's traditional way of serving food yet, huh?" She looked furious. I was silent, not understanding what was going on. "You're only supposed to have one plate. Why are you arranging the dishes to your side as the same way we do?" she asks. "Oh, enough. You can just eat the salad you brought in the other room. This is the only dish that you get to take." Linda looked offended and I was unable to say anything back, so I moved to the next room. My head was spinning. In the living room on the other side of the wall, a huge feast was going on without me. While eating the salad in the other room, I got thirsty. I tried to ask Linda if I could at least have a sip of Coca-Cola, but she says, Oh, we don't have them anymore, and these are the 2 last ones. Sorry, she says with a smirk on her face. I had no choice but to drink water from the toilet. I look into the back of the kitchen and see an unopened carton of milk sitting next to the fridge. They have milk! I picked it up and asked Linda if I could at least drink that. And she answers, "Oh, this milk is for the stray cats, I'm sorry." And saying this, she went back to the family feast. She made me do all the preparations for the feast and then called me out on my lack of manners. She has enough milk to feed stray cats, but she doesn't even have anything to give to her own son's wife? I really have had enough of this. Now it's my time to show them what I can do. The adrenaline and anger filled my body. One day, as I was looking for the right timing to get back at Linda, Mark and I had the opportunity to visit her place again. As usual, I was being bullied with no food on my plate. "Grandma!" I heard a young voice. The voice was my niece Kathy's, who was at the front door. "Oh, well, what's wrong now, honey?" She was standing in the doorway, who was probably on her way home from kindergarten. "I forgot to bring back the cactus drawing that I made with you yesterday." I looked into the living room and saw 2 pieces of paper with drawings on it on the table in front of the TV. Well, I'm sorry that I couldn't remind you about it." Linda quickly changed her devilish expression she had towards me and smiled lovingly over to Kathy. Then Kathy came running into the living room. Then she went straight to the cactus and picked up a small one. It must have been a precious treasure for her. And for Linda, it was a proof of her granddaughter's hard work. "Because you like this one, Grandma, I'll leave it here. And I'll bring this one, okay?" Kathy picked up the one she was bringing it back home and looked at us. "Oh, Auntie and Uncle!" She realized that we were there. Kathy was so adorable. At that moment, I had a great idea. "Hey, Kathy, are you hungry?" Hearing this, Kathy turned to me and said, "Yup, I'm hungry." She held her stomach and gave a huge smile as she said that. She really is very cute. "I see. Well, how about we play a game to see who can eat more? If you win, I'll buy you the toy you've always wanted." "Really? Okay, I'll play." "Oh, there's all my favorite foods on the table. I could eat all of them." Kathy's stomach growled loudly as she looked at the pizza, fried chicken, and large hamburgers, which were all in front of Mark. "Oh, these are mine." Kathy, I'll give you some snacks here, so come on, get over here." I guess Mark and Linda was so greedy that they didn't even want to give their own grandchild and niece what they have surrounded themselves with. They had very serious looks on their faces and went out of their way to stop the game. But Kathy says this innocently. "I like fried chicken and pizzas better. Alright, let's get set. Ready, and go!" I took the pizza that Mark had left, and Kathy took the fried chicken and the burgers that were on Linda's plate and ate them with her mouth full. "Hey, stop it!" "My fried chicken." Mark tried to take the fried food away from me and began to stick his hand in my mouth, but Kathy says this, "Don't interfere with the game," and slapped Mark's hand hard. Mark was stunned by the shock of being slapped by Kathy, while Linda looked on in disbelief at what was happening before her eyes. 10 minutes later, all the remaining food on the table was gone. Now Kathy is smothering herself with the cake as a dessert. "My pizza! My fried chicken! Where did the burgers go to?" Mark stares dumbfounded at the empty plates on the table. "Well, it's in mine and Kathy's stomachs. It's your fault for not eating it sooner, isn't it? You can't just stand there. If you think that I'm going to stay quiet forever, you're both wrong for this." Oh, and that's right. There's something I prepared for you. Mark's eyes lit up, and his stomach rumbled as if he thought I had prepared him food. But he misunderstood really badly. I took out a document from my bag. Let's get a divorce. Huh? I took out the divorce papers that I had been carrying around with me since that day. Linda and Mark both had huge surprised eyes at my abrupt request for a divorce. Please divorce me. And I began to vent out all my past stresses and frustrations at once. I've been bullied by your mother, and you haven't defended me even once. I'm sick and tired of you eating up my share of the food. You empty the fridge so much that it's so difficult for me to do our daily shopping. You don't even realize that with your very low salary, you have been draining my precious savings because you don't even have enough money for food. And then Linda says this. I'm bullying you? I beg your pardon. Isn't it natural that you want your own beloved son to eat a full meal of all the delicious foods? If you put up with your empty white plate, my son will be happy, and you, as his wife, should be happy too if he's happy. She argued back with such nonsense. My mind completely snapped. You've got to be kidding me. My happiness doesn't lie in that. Both Linda and Mark gasped at my sudden anger. No matter how much I had been mistreated as a wife, I had to put up with it for a long time. But when I realized that this attitude had escalated Mark and Linda in the wrong direction, I felt disgusted with myself. I decided that I would go all out. I quickly pulled my phone out of my pocket and began to call. I'm divorcing Mark because I got bullied by Linda. Please just come to Linda's place right now, I said over the phone. I'll be right there, so you better wait for me. And then I waited for 30 minutes. As the fierce battle between Mark, Linda, and I continued, my mother, Anna, finally arrived at Linda's place. Are you the ones who are torturing my beautiful daughter? My mother's angry voice echoed through the living room. My mother is as big as Mark. She was once famous for being a champion for Women's Wrestling Championship, and now she's a fierce fighter who trains male members of the Men's National Wrestling Club. Her overwhelming power is so huge that people on the street tend to avoid her. Mark and Linda were stunned by the unexpected appearance of Anna, and their mouths were wide open. You, Mark! Yes, I'm talking to you. Yes, ma'am. Mark sounded very scared. Instead of helping your wife, you have joined with your mother together to bully your own wife. Shame on you. Shame on you. I'm so sorry. Mark repeatedly apologized with tears in his eyes. And then my mother became a little bit calm at this point. By the way, how did you even get bullied? I revealed everything that had happened to me. Mark and Linda, who have been picking on me, definitely took advantage of my silence so that no one would notice that they're actually bullying me. They are bullying me, but by nature they're what I call cowards, who are more concerned about what others think of them. Knowing this, I asked my mother, who is a fierce fighter, to appear this time. My mother grew angry at the numerous stories I told her about me being bullied by them. Seeing my mother get angry, both Mark and Linda began to tremble. When my mother finished listening to my story, she told Kathy and I to go outside and enjoy at the amusement park nearby, and disappeared with Mark and Linda into the next room. And 2 hours later, when Kathy and I returned to Linda's place after enjoying the amusement park, Mark and Linda were slumped over looking helpless, apparently having been lectured by my mother earlier. So? Don't you have something to say to my daughter? What are you supposed to say if you did something wrong? My mother urged Mark and Linda. I'm so sorry. They both apologized to my mother and I. If you want my forgiveness, sign the divorce papers. If you promise to stay away from me for the rest of your life, maybe there will be a day when I could finally forgive you both. I understand. My mother did an amazing job. My mother and I looked at each other and laughed. And Kathy was quietly eating her cake at the table. 1 year had passed since the divorce. Due to my mother's influence, word got out that Linda had bullied me and she had become a person who was hated by many people. From that, she got depressed and her hormone balance was broken, and her slender body, of which she was so proud of, had completely changed, and she got very fat. As for Mark, even though I told him not to contact me, he sends me a message once a week demanding that we get back together. He's trying his best to get back with me, but it'll never happen. Honey, where are you now? I am worried that you're at home without me and shivering from loneliness. I'm living with my mother now. The house without you is nothing to me now. My mother doesn't cook my favorite fried chicken anymore. I want to eat your cooking again. I want to start over again with you. Please give me a chance. I will never take away your food again. I will not complain about you with my mother anymore. I'll do whatever you say. Please come back. What a horror. Reading those messages made me feel sick and nauseous. Please do not contact me ever again. That would be my true happiness. Goodbye. I replied with that message, set all of Mark's messages to be forwarded to my mother, and threw my phone into the ocean. I'm so sure that Mark will get lectured from my mother now every time he texts me from now on. And what's more, I'm actually a big eater myself. I secretly participated in a women's food challenge championship and ate 20 servings of fried chickens and made it to the semifinals. I kept it a secret from Mark and Linda about this. On the day I competed with Kathy, there were about 10 servings each of fried chickens, burgers, and pizzas left on the table, and I finished them all in 10 minutes. Kathy also ate about 5 servings, so in the future, she would definitely be a big eater. After that incident, I threw away all the white plates which reminded me of those traumatizing days. Whenever I feel like it, I prepare about 12 servings of fried chickens, pizzas, and burgers and enjoy eating them all with my mother. Being jealous over food really is something. Every time my mother and I remember Mark and Linda apologizing on their knees, we both have a laugh about it.